Hello and welcome to another edition of Video Games to the Max. And we have plenty of stuff to talk about here. Today, I'm your host, Sean Gomer, and here is with me as always, Mr. Mark Morrison.
Howdy.
And also, welcome back, Mr. Daniel Anderson,
Hello.
as he is still excited about his Tennessee Volunteers surprising and upsetting the mighty Alabama Crimson Tide there over the weekend. So you will be seeing that logo the whole show here. Anyway, like as I mentioned, we do have plenty of things to talk about, including the Bayonetta 3 VA controversy, the Gotham Knights controversy that actually involves gameplay. We've got more stuff with Microsoft and Sony and the CMA. G4 TV has sadly been shuttered, and much more right after this.
You are listening to Video Games to the Max.
All right, so just to get it out of the way, if you've been listening to us for a while or this is your first time listening, we always appreciate you here. And if it is your first time listening, you can always watch us live on Twitch, on Twitter at W10 Network for both of those. On my Twitter's at W10 Sean. You have Marc at Humanity Plague. You can follow us there. You can watch us on demand on YouTube. You can watch us wherever it is that you like to watch videos, whether that is YouTube, whether that's Twitch, whether it's whatever. And also, you can listen on whatever podcast feed that you enjoy, your favorite podcatcher. We're pretty much on all of them, I'm pretty sure. We got the Apple, Google, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon, whatever it is that, I'm sure all those other things that basically use Apple Podcasts, Podcast Addict is the one I use personally, all of that. We're on there. So just search Video Games to the Max or search W2 Network in total, and you'll get everything we do, which includes Mr. Mark Radlich doing and his crew doing the Marvel Entertainment and movies and Star Wars stuff. They just reviewed She-Hulk. That's a pretty damn good review that they did as well, going through not like entirety, but they give their thoughts on the entire first season. So if you want to hear their thoughts, definitely you can go check them out on the YouTube or on podcasts, and definitely go listen to that Talk to Keiki as well if you want your anime fix. They just did their summer anime and top tens for that season, and they've already started on the fall. They don't waste any time at all. So that being said, let's get everything going here, guys. I mean, Daniel, I know you're still on that high from the Tennessee win, but anything else been going on there?
I've been working a bunch. I've been trying to play Terra Invicta when I have a little bit of time, but I've been working 50, 60-hour weeks the last few weeks, so it's been kind of difficult to squeeze the time in. My early impressions are fun game, very complicated, but if you like 4X games, you'll probably enjoy this.
All right. Well, definitely if Daniel has any extra thoughts, we'll get that in the what we're playing segment. Mark, anything going on with you there?
Fridge broke, so we're getting a new one soon.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you're still able to find things to eat while your fridge is...
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, we'll get into it later.
All right. Well, yeah, pretty much been working. We did a Hispanic heritage potluck thing at my job this week, so at least I didn't have to bring any food this week, which was nice. Got to save a little bit, but it was nice getting to eat different Latino countries' food. Like for me, being a Venezuelan and then also being with a Puerto Rican, I kind of get the mix of those two foods a lot. But it was, cool to get to experience all my other coworkers' food, where their families come from, and again, nice to not have to spend any money on food for a week. With
Like-
how expensive things are right now,
Like
it's
the
actually
land of
good.
Taco Bell.
No, none of them. Nobody brought Taco Bell, so that was. But yes, let's get into it, guys. So, first off, I guess we should probably start with some sad news. It feels like almost every time we're starting this show with somebody is closing their doors in the gaming media, gaming journalism land, and this time it's G4, and they haven't really been. I think they've hardly been around a year, if that. And
Barely.
yeah, Comcast has already shut the doors on the channel, on the YouTube and on the cable network. I mean, we kind of saw that this was going to be a difficult thing when they first brought this out, right? It was never going to be easy to come into a world where everything's so accessible. We already have so much gaming content. We have so many gaming sites, so many gaming content creators to kind of just come back with this brand that, yes, we knew it growing up. Yes, we consumed it. But are the people that consume gaming content now going to care about it? And that was always a difficult task. I feel like there's a lot of things going into this, obviously. But anyway, how do you feel about it, Marc?
I mean, I didn't find it sad.
Well, it's sad that people are losing their jobs, man. It's never a good thing.
I guess, but it's almost like Google Stadia. Like, you had to know going in, like, this isn't going to last.
Well, I think if you actually work to try to differentiate yourself and, try to find your niche in the market, I think that could have been there. It felt like somebody's pet project, which it was the son of a higher up at Comcast that kind of started the thing.
And he only did it to get into Olivia Munn's pants, and that didn't work out well for him.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't have nostalgia for G4 in the first place.
I think a lot of people don't.
Yeah, we consumed it back then, but it was the only thing around, and even then, I knew it was kind of garbage.
Right.
So, yeah, and then not even discussing the current person or the past personalities on G4 with the recent one, obviously. But
right.
You had to see the writing on the wall 6 months ago.
Yeah, I mean, supposedly she's come out and said that whole thing was approved and that everybody knew it was going to happen.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that's. It doesn't feel like that's what happened. I don't know why my phone is starting to go off randomly when it's in my pocket, but sure.
Because they promoted the hell out of it when it initially happened. She made that stupid rant.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, though. I feel like that's the biggest problem with this is there wasn't a lot of marketing for this at all. Like, if it was, we knew about it because we're in this, and anytime they're going to do a news blast about it, we're going to know about it. But I think most people that may have not even that knew nothing about G4 coming back, that might have been interested, that aren't on Twitter every day or whatever, have no idea that existed until the thing with Frost blew up. And then by then they watched that and probably said, well, if I was going to tune in before, I definitely am not now. And I think that turned a lot of people off, to be quite frank. And then anybody that was given it a chance, I think it kept diminishing the people that were doing that. It makes it difficult when you don't have something that says, okay, this is our goal, this is what we're doing, and it feels like you're just doing everything else that we already see IGN and Kind of Funny and all these other places doing, except for, hey, we brought Adam Susser back, and hey, we have some YouTubers you might know, and oh yeah, there's a report going around that they paid guests like $25,000-$30,000 a day to show up there. I mean, that's freaking ridiculously expensive. I mean, I guess they didn't have that many guests, but it's still crazy that you're paying people that much to show up there. I don't know. It sucks. It sucks that people learned about losing their job on Twitter thanks to Wario64 of all people. It's like Comcast didn't even have the decency to like send everybody an email or call some folks and say, hey, why don't you tell somebody, the staff, that I'm sorry, but the channel's closing. And yeah, it's just not a great way for that to end at all. I mean, you kind of saw the writing on the wall when they were letting staffers go a few weeks ago, but man, that feels like super fast that they just ended it like that.
Well, and I think the biggest problem, in addition to no advertising, was they didn't have anything to set themselves apart from, like you said, anything you can get on IGN, YouTube, anything else. They needed to have different programming than what you can get on YouTube. Be that some type of tournament with a prize at the end for different people, some type of, I mean, you can get it on YouTube, but maybe dealing with some history of gaming stuff. But all they did was what you get on YouTube and Twitch and IGN day in and day out. There was nothing that really made people say, hey, I should watch this. Other than,
Right.
Oh, look, G-Force back. I remember that from when I was younger and used to watch it, and then you watch it and nothing stands out. They needed something to stand out, and it didn't seem like they were even trying to do that. It just seemed like they were banking on the personalities over the content, and if you have a personality that pisses off the majority of your target audience, you're not going to get people to watch it.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that same target audience that you upset are most of the target audience that are going to be watching this, because it has to be somebody that's a hardcore gamer for the most part, that's kind of living in this space already. It's not someone, I mean, it was going to be very hard for them to reach a casual audience.
Well, and that's where the content comes. I mean, if they had done something, this is just off the top of my head, reality show like, where they got a bunch of quote normal people that aren't really gamers, put them on a team together, trained up, and taught them how to play games, and then had them compete against other people in a tournament for a prize. That might have gotten some casual people watching because it's something different. That's something that you don't see anywhere. You don't see that on YouTube. You haven't seen that on any other network. So that's something different and new. But they didn't even try anything like that. It was just, we're going to relaunch. We're going to have bank on nostalgia with old shows, and then we're going to bring on these personalities to play games. And that's basically it. I mean, they needed something else, and they just didn't have it.
Yeah, it's very different to adapt to something like YouTube and Twitch and not just bank on the fact that you're a brand and you have a channel, because most people are not going to be watching it via a cable channel when some people are cord cutting these days as it is. So, I mean, I just looked at like upping my package just because, the NBA is coming back and I kind of wanted more access to ESPN and TNT and all that stuff, and I was like, $50 a month, I might as well pay a little bit extra and just get YouTube TV and keep cord cutting. So that's the thing. It's like I already have internet with Comcast. I was thinking about, okay, well, what if I go and get a box and get cable again, and it costs pretty much the same as getting one of these streaming things, so might as well keep it the way it is. I mean, again, I hate it to see it for all these folks that lost their jobs. As a big fan of like folks like Danny Pena, that was doing great work over there, seeing him like not be able to do that anymore. And I know a few folks that like they wanted to get to the point where they could work for G4 themselves if it had lasted long enough. And then it didn't even last long enough for there to be like really any new hires outside of the ones that were brought in at the initial part. So again, it's just sad news that we keep getting with gaming media, gaming stuff going down right now. But moving on from that to another, I guess, more gaming related topic. Although this is once again a internet craziness here with Gotham Knights, and it's whether it runs at 60 FPS or 30 FPS, or a lot of people making a big deal about the fact that it apparently is not going to run in 60 FPS. I wasn't going to get the game in the first place. I don't know if any of us here were, but I mean, this is also a thing. Apparently, Plague Tale Requiem also has this issue, at least on consoles. On PC, it doesn't. How do you guys feel about these? Are supposed to be current gen games, right? And they're running at what's supposed to be considered, I guess, last gen now, frames per second.
Well, I think that the technical reason is because it's an online game. You probably want to have more leeway for like network drops and stuff like that. And that's
it's like a
valid.
constant. It's a constant online game. They want to have no issues with the co-op, right? Which makes sense.
So yeah, if you're in some game and two other people have good internet and one other person doesn't, that's going to negatively impact all the games. So if they have lower requirements, sure.
I mean, is this a big deal, Daniel? Like, people are just making it seem like there is no way current gen games should be running at 30. They have to run at 60.
I feel like the people that are saying this are the same ones that complained about the graphics in the GTA leak. If the game's good, the game's going to be good. It's not going to matter at what FPS it's running as long as it's seamless. That's the big thing. And if this makes it seamless, then that's going to be good.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? Is okay, you want it to have a performance mode, and I'll be honest, as someone that has both a PS5 and a Series X, do I try to run everything in performance mode to get that 60 FPS? Yeah, sure I do. Have I gotten to games running like that? Yes. Can I notice the difference now because I've seen so many games running that much? Yeah, I can. But let's be honest here. Most people that are going to pick up this game have not been sitting here on Twitter arguing about this all day. It's going to be people that are fans of Batman, that find out that this game has co-op, and they want to play with their friends, and they don't give a crap about whether it runs at 30 or 60 or whatever. That's what this is focused on. Do you think that we'll get to a point in this generation where most big games like this will run at 60 and we don't have to worry about this? Or is this going to be you might as well get ready because you're going to have a lot more games running at 30?
Well, I'd rather a game run a constant 30 than an uneven 60.
Yeah, and I think as we get to fewer big online co-op games, I'm sure God of War is going to run at 60. I'm sure the bigger releases that are mainly single player are going to run at 60. But if you have an online co-op game, you're going to have to run it at a lower frame rate just to make it constant.
Yeah. I think a lot of people that also complain have no idea how game dev works, and then they're also expecting miracles to happen and blaming all kinds of things. Had a weirdo game dev come out and start blaming the Series S and blame this and blame that and say that because you have to have so many characters in the frame that makes it to where you can't. Listen, regardless of what they're doing, would you rather it run well, or you just want it to look say I have the 60 frames? Because that doesn't make sense. If this was a totally offline game like Daniel's saying, then sure, but you kind of need it to work. I mean, if most people buy this game and then it constantly screws up when you're playing with your friend and y'all don't live in the same place, you're going to want to return that, right? At the end of the day, that's what the experience is going to be, so
yeah.
I mean, do y'all have any thoughts on the game at all? I mean, as people that have enjoyed the Arkham series,
well, it's not connected to that.
I know it's not, but I'm saying
And
it is Batman.
It's pretty dumb.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can guess what's going to happen in the storyline of the game, but I mean, it looks like it'll be entertaining. I've always been a fan of the Tim Drake Robin and of Grace and Nightwing, so I'll probably check it out eventually just to see how it is and play through it. I don't know if I'll have a bunch of people to play it with because I'm not able to set aside certain times to play it along with everyone else. But as long as it's fun, I'll enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy seeing some of the characters in the game that you don't usually see and get to control.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the cool thing is like they actually decided to make a game where you're not playing as Batman, you're playing as other characters. You get to experience those characters, and maybe it will be a much more well-received game than we're expecting. I mean, there are other bigger games, coming up around it, which may take some of its spotlight. But yeah, I think this will be a whole lot about nothing, and people will still be buying this game, and very much like another topic we're going to talk about here, it's going to wind up mattering very little as to what the general outlook of this game will be. Let's move on to, I think, a game that Marc might care about a bit more, Bayonetta 3. Hellena Taylor came out randomly. This is now, like 2 weeks before the game comes out, and says that apparently she didn't get paid enough. And that is why Jennifer Hale is now the voice of Bayonetta for Bayonetta 3. She was apparently offered $4,000 for the whole thing, which apparently that is actually the going rate for her union. So it's not like she was lowballed or anything. It's that she felt she deserved more, which, it is what it is. That's your choice. Jennifer Hale came out and elegantly said that, she basically decided to take this offer, and it has nothing to do. She has nothing against Hellena or anything. Just, hey, it's another thing for her, and she has so many different voices on that she's done in her time. So, I don't think we know that the voice work's going to be great. And like, what did you think about this, Marc, when you heard of it? People, then she urges people to boycott the game, which kind of seems counterproductive to what you should be doing as the voice actor. But do you think she has a point, or?
Yeah, I canceled my pre-order.
All right, well, fair enough.
Like she raises a bunch of points, and her position isn't unfounded, but there are questions I would ask her also, like what was the payment for the previous games, or like she doesn't do a lot of voice work. Like,
right, she hadn't worked since 2014
Smash Brothers, like Brawl, or the Wii U one. That was voicing Bayonetta, which probably wasn't a ton because she's not like a primary character, obviously. But she has no other roles, essentially.
Yeah.
Like a voice actress I like, she has 34 roles in 2022 alone. And she voices like a lot of incidental characters in cartoons or games, but hey, it pays the bills.
Right. I mean, but let's be fair. What you get, the royalties you get for cartoons and other media is way better than gaming.
She's doing games also, or
right.
And okay, why can't Hellena Taylor do TV shows or cartoons?
That's her choice, right? We're not. That is interesting as to why she has decided not to do other voice gigs to kind of supplement that. I mean, she raises a good point about should gaming voice work should be better thought of and better paid. I think that goes for a lot of things in gaming, period. I mean, the same thing is a lot of people compared it to game journalism as far as like you are on the bottom totem pole of what you get paid compared to other media. The The same thing as your voice work in gaming is the lowest totem pole when it comes to how it compares to movies and TV shows and cartoons and other anime and all that. So
yes, but that's why a lot of video game voiceover people branch into anime or domestic cartoons or audiobooks or something. Right. She hasn't done anything.
Yeah.
And like, do you think Jennifer Hale is getting $4,000? Probably not.
Well, but hey, you know what? They said we're going to just go ahead and pay for somebody that has a bigger resume that is worth the money. We don't also know, is there some kind of dispute that they had and she made a big deal about it and they said, you know what? We're not going to deal with this drama. We're just going to go get somebody else. I mean,
I also find, I find Hale too recognizable. Like, I actually don't think she has a ton of voices personally. So, like, when I saw that trailer they put out like a few weeks ago, I'm like, that's Jennifer Hale. And I even brought that up to Jens like 3 weeks ago, and he was like, his position is like, I don't care. I play the game in Japanese, and I'm like, well, people aren't crazy. Like,
yeah. Well, there are a lot of people that play the game in Japanese. Let's not.
Yes, they're called Japanese people.
No, but there's a lot of English folks that are the same reason why they don't watch dubbed anime. They don't like having the non-Japanese voices when there's Japanese voices. It's not the majority, but there are people that do.
That's like saying I'm going to play Assassin's Creed 2 in Italian because that's where the game takes place. It's like, no, you're just being pedantic and a jackass. Please stop.
Well,
fair enough.
Well, my thing is, if the $4,000 is a union's going rate, why is she complaining about the company instead of complaining about the union that doesn't prioritize those roles? Because if the company's following the union scale, then the union should be the one that's being blamed for not charging more for these type of roles. I mean, I get wanting to make more money, but that's part of the issue when you're in a union. You get whatever salary the union has negotiated, and that's generally it.
Right.
It's very rare they're going to go over what the union contract asked for.
You have to wonder how bad her initial, because she said like that was the $4,000 was the final offer. It's like, how bad were the initial ones then? Like, yeesh.
Well, it's probably based on how many voices she's done.
Well, it's voices, but then it's also like hours, because I doubt.
It's done by the amount of time that she's going to be in the booth, or the amount of dialogue, the amount of words, right? So
I'm sure when Kiefer Sutherland knocked out his role in Metal Gear Solid 5 is Solid Snake, he did that in like an hour and a half or something, But voicing Bayonetta or like Chris Pratt as Mario in the movie, that's probably a little more involved.
Yeah.
Right.
I guess my takeaway is we don't have the facts to really make a decision one way or the other. You got one person blaming the business for it, but we don't know the other side. We don't know what the initial offers were, what the union contract calls for, how many lines of dialogue they're going to be, how long the recording session was going to take. I mean, we don't know any of this, and you can't really make a judgment based on that.
Although you can say that what Platinum did lie about, like, the initial reason she was not in the game was like scheduling conflicts. It's like, what's her schedule? Like.
Well, unless they said that to not make. I mean, what sounds worse? She had a scheduling conflict, or she wanted more money than what we were willing to pay her for the role.
Yeah, but then look how it blew up in their face.
Well, if you don't expect the person to go scorched earth, then.
And also, the secondary voice actress in that game also wasn't asked back, and she is like a very mainstay voice actress, or she does like 50 roles a year or something. So,
right. It's interesting that also Kamiya from Platinum it didn't really ever. Straight up, I mean, he said, "Oh well, kind of like you guys don't know what you're talking about. You're you're getting upset about about something that you don't really know the reason for. But instead of kind of just setting the record straight, maybe he's under an NDA or something where he can't really talk about it, which that's what Jennifer Hale said. She can't really talk about exactly what went on. She kind of just had to give her statement and that's it, to defend herself, because that's the thing where I was kind of on her side until she kind of just threw Jennifer Hale under the bus. It's like, that's not really necessary. She probably had nothing to do with why you were lowballed, or not lowball, but why, you got the union rate and you didn't get, what you thought you deserved, or it kind of messes up your stance of trying to promote like VA is getting paid more.
If Hale's such a because there are people that are saying like, oh, Hale isn't like a scab or she's like a good person, but it's like, okay, why wouldn't you call Hellena Taylor in the first place and ask like, why aren't you coming back? Like, personally,
how do we know she didn't do that though?
Well, she would have said it. She did in that NDA or not, or that wouldn't be part of an NDA.
Well, she does. I mean, I don't think she would have taken the role if she didn't talk to her. But that's the thing. If she starts spreading rumors or saying on her own, well, I talked to her and she told me why, and whatever, that can make the NDA become an issue, right? We don't exactly know what she signed and what she didn't. She's just trying to not even add any more fuel to the fire by speaking for Hellena, because then that causes a problem on its own. The last thing you want is for her to make another video firing back at her, and then the entire perception of this game, at least online, is not great. I mean, the funniest thing is this whole boycott actually just led to more sales of the game. So good job everybody for saying you're going to boycott, and then the first thing that happens is it's like the highest, it's sold out in like 4 different regions. People, then you get the people that they're going to buy the game anyway. And listen, I'm all for that, but I don't think anybody donated to charity, which is what she was supposedly saying that she wanted people to do instead of spending money on the game. But quite honestly, the devs are a much bigger part of the game than whatever the voice actress is doing. And I don't think it's fair to hurt the devs over this non-controversy thing. Whatever reason you decided to cancel your pre-order, Mark, that's fine. I didn't pre-order, but I'm probably going to pick it up because I want to play the game, and that's cool. Whatever. I mean, do you want to give a reason as to why? Is it because of the...
Yes, but it wasn't. Well, it actually wasn't her video. Like I said, I knew about this like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and that kind of soured me on it in the whole. Because if she just retired from the role, that's one thing. I mean, voice actors do retire or leave on their own, or sometimes not. But I mean, yeah, I don't. Well, like I said, I don't particularly like Hale that much, so that kind of. And the other voice actress, I do like quite a bit. And hearing her say like I got dumped from the game, also, it's like, well. Way to show loyalty, I guess.
All right, fair enough. I mean, that's what.
Also, I don't entirely trust Platinum at this point, so.
I don't blame you there either. Mm-hmm. I feel like they've done well with the Nintendo games. I mean, Astro Chain was a really good game. So right now, I feel like with Nintendo's backing and everything. Also, Nintendo should be somewhere spoken about in these terms, and for the most part, it feels like they have been absent from it because it's Nintendo. But I don't know if this will ever come out, whatever the actual truth is or whatever. But I think we should also put in perspective that Bayonetta is not this huge selling AAA franchise either. It's still a niche franchise. It doesn't have this huge ass budget either. I mean, it has probably a bigger budget than whatever Sega gave it on the first game, but still, So, I mean, it is what it is there. any closing thoughts you guys want to give on the game? I mean, like, do you guys think the game is going to perform well as far as, I guess, reviews? Or
I mean, if history bears out, it should. But like I said, Platinum has had a rougher go of it the past 2 years than previously thought. Like, they used to be like a one good game, one bad game type of studio, and not anymore.
yeah, I think, to be fair to them, that was also not entirely their fault. There's also Square-Enix involved in that too, if we're referring to Babylon's Fall.
Yeah, but their other Square Enix game was Nier Automata. So
yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying, though. I think maybe that's
and
not
I don't
necessarily
think it was entirely Square, like, because Platinum was like, "Oh, we still want to make a live service game," and it's like, why? You didn't lose enough money in this one? Like,
I mean, because it's until proven otherwise, that's what makes money.
Well, it's been proven otherwise. So,
but there are successful live service games, so somebody's gonna think that they can do it until
the ratio of Valorant or crap like that or Fortnite is a tad smaller than the likes of Babylon's Fall or Final Fantasy: The First Soldier.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you can show that you have experience in making those type of games or the infrastructure behind it, that might get you a better shot at making the next one.
Yeah.
Because whether we like it or not, that seems to be where a lot of companies are going with franchises now. They want to try to get these games as service so that they can keep milking whatever franchise they're going to use as much as they can.
Yeah, everybody wants to have a battle pass. Everybody wants to have the next, if they can't have the next big shooter, they're going to try to have the next Fall Guys or Rocket League or something, and until we find a different pivot, which hopefully happens soon, because, but that's the thing. Like, the problem is that if you look at where everybody is making their money, these big publishers, right? At least the big Western ones, it's in live service. So, or having a continuous multiplayer, or having something that you can keep just updating to kind of be able to fund those other things.
But you just said Western studios, not Eastern. Eastern studios haven't done this except for like Genshin Impact.
Right. I mean, Sony's trying, right? They want to do 12 of those things. You'd imagine one of those has got to stick, right? Like,
no.
God, they cannot. Microsoft is trying and not succeeding with Halo. So,
I'm sure Destiny 3 will be fine. That's probably their only sure bet at this point. And that's a matter of diminishing returns.
And even that, yeah, exactly. Like, all I see is as many people that are kind of still playing it. There also seems to be a lot of people that are just kind of like, I don't know, I kind of feel like I'm getting to the end of the road with Destiny here. So there's that. But yeah, it is what it is for this. That being said, you did mention it. Square-Enix had to shut down Final Fantasy VII: The First Soldier. They also shut down one of those mobile, like, pixel art ones. I think it's like the Brave, I don't know which one it is. They have like 3 of them. Brave Exvius and something else. And they also kind of shut that down as well. So, like, what's weird is this didn't even last a year, the First Soldier thing. But the whole time they announced this, I was like, was anybody ever asking for this?
I mean, I feel that way about most game development, games coming out.
No, but I'm just like, okay, the other Final Fantasy VII stuff that they've shown, okay, there's reasons, right? Okay, the mobile game that goes through like the whole series and kind of has the better graphics and all that kind of stuff. I can see why you're making that. Crisis Core, you can see why they're making that, right? But this, Nobody asked for
It
this.
felt like an offshoot of the Final Fantasy 15 multiplayer mode, which no one cared about then either.
Right. They wanted to have their own battle royale. Why not use Final Fantasy VII for it? I guess if there was one of the Final Fantasies you could have done this for, it was this.
No, man, it's Final Fantasy 4.
Yes, exactly.
They should have said screw it and made like a SSX tricky game sequel with Final Fantasy 7 characters instead. Get Cloud snowboarding once again.
What's crazy is like just a month ago they had introduced a season 4 trailer for it.
Yeah.
And like oh, okay, I guess this has got to be doing well enough that they're still doing content for it, and then apparently not. I mean, to be fair, they do have Final Fantasy 14 that is doing incredibly well, so they can probably afford to kill this before just continuing to make more content. If it wasn't on mobile, I might have given it a try. Just to, if they'd ever brought it to consoles or something, maybe. But sadly, they never got to that point.
Right.
Yeah. But Square-Enix, like we just talked about Babylon's Fall, they shut this down too. So I feel like Outer World, was it? What's the damn game? I can't think. Not Outer Worlds, not Outer Wilds. What's it called? The one that wasn't a live service game, but it's not. It has multiplayer. It was on Game Pass, and they had the expansion come out. Dang it! I know Daniel's probably thinking about it. I can't.
I'm trying to think of it, but I
Avengers?
can't.
No, not Avengers. The other game that was like, it was a new IP, and oh my god, I'm gonna think about it later when we're not talking about it. But that expansion came out, and I feel like nobody talked about it at all. So this is like I feel like you've seen more for the whatchamacallit, the Final Fantasy Strangers Within
Paradise. Oh,
yeah, Stranger Paradise getting an expansion than you have with that. Outriders, that's what it is.
no.
So yeah,
I
Square
mean,
Enix
that's
really
probably next on the chopping
yeah.
block.
Yeah.
Square Enix really hasn't had the best of times right now when it comes to anything like that at all. So, yeah. But oh wow, this thing is going nuts on me here. I love
That's because they keep hitting the same stupid drum, and it's like people don't want that or want that from you. So
exactly. But yep. Daniel, this is interesting for me because you weren't here last week when we talked about more of it, but hopefully they get a little break where we don't have to talk about it. But there's been more developments in the Sony and Microsoft thing over the CMA and Activision, Blizzard, all that. Have you been paying attention to it at all, Daniel? With
yeah, I've been reading the news stories about it. I find it really funny that a lot of the things Sony are complaining that Microsoft will do is the stuff that they've paid money to have other developers do. They just didn't own those developers. At least in the U.S., I don't see there being a major issue. And if it happens in the U.S. and Microsoft's not going to shoot themselves in the foot and say Call of Duty is Xbox exclusive. They're not going to do that. It's not going to happen. They're going to put it out on all consoles, just to as many consoles and PC as they can, just to get as much money as they can. Will Microsoft Xbox users maybe get multiplayer maps early? Maybe. But right now, Sony is, or I don't know if they still are, but for the last several years, Sony was paying for the PlayStation to get the multiplayer maps, the new maps earlier than the Xbox. So, I mean, I just feel like it's not going to really affect anything one way or the other. I still see everything going through in the U.S. and if it goes through and reaches approval in the U.S., I think it'll be stamped through everywhere else at this point.
Mark, after this, now the CMA has given their decision as far as like phase 1 and why they're going into a phase 2. Pretty much saying that they don't necessarily believe that Microsoft will keep Call of Duty multi-platform because of the Bethesda deal, right? Where they have taken some of their games and made them exclusive.
Yeah, but I mean, it was always going to get further. It was going to get looked at further anyway, and I'm sure Microsoft will sign something saying they will not make it exclusive to Xbox and PC only, and then that'll solve all the issues. I mean, for all the stuff that they've made Microsoft exclusive, there's other stuff that has been out everywhere. I'm sure you guys talked about it. Minecraft is a good big example that Microsoft bought the studio, owned the game, but they still release it on every single thing that seems to come out. So I think
except for the
they'll
PS5.
be able to point to that. Huh?
Except for the PS5.
I give it time. I honestly don't think there would be that much of a demand for it at this point. I feel like that train's kind of slowed down, and most people are playing it on PC if they still are really into it just for all the mods and everything. But
yeah, I think it'd be different if when they come out with these new games that are in the Minecraft universe, if they said, "Oh, there's no PS5 version," then I think you would have a point. But they don't. They keep making all these different Minecraft Legends and all that stuff on PS5 and Switch as well. So, what do you think about the whole? Oh well, Nintendo shouldn't factor into this because they make other kinds of games, so it shouldn't be proof that Sony doesn't necessarily need Call of Duty to be number one.
Well,
like
I mean, that's
go on.
Oh, I was going to say, I mean, that's technically a fair point to make. I don't necessarily agree with it, but it's a fair point to raise. I mean, I really don't think if this sale goes through and Microsoft just says we're only going to release Call of Duty on the Xbox, I really don't think you're going to see people not buy a PS5 and buy an Xbox instead. The people that want a PS5 are still going to get the PS5. The people that wanted an Xbox are still going to get the Xbox. And the big factor, I think, is still going to be the availability of the console and what people can get. I mean, the only thing that it might hurt in the future is if there's a PS6. But again, if we have something similar to what we had this generation where both consoles were hard to get, most people are just getting whatever they could get. I mean, if they wanted the new gen console, they were just getting whatever they could find, whatever they could order. I mean, I don't know of anybody that said, I'm going to get a PS5 because I want to play Modern Warfare on the PS5, and that's it. It's always, I want to play God of War. I want to play Last of Us. I want to play all the Sony exclusive games. They're not talking about playing multi-platform games on it as the main reason why they decide to buy that console.
Yeah. I mean, I do think there's something to be said if they were to make it exclusive that it does change people's perception when you go to the PlayStation 6. Because that's a whole new generation. If Microsoft can make a big deal about it in the marketing, right, and say, well, we got Call of Duty over here, and Sony doesn't have that. I mean, that's if Call of Duty is still a big thing by then, because, you can eventually get diminishing returns on a franchise that comes out pretty regularly.
Yeah.
It's not like you can say what you want about the sports franchises, but there's always that inherent thing of, well, it's another year. There's players that are not in the one from last year that are in this year, so I want to get it. Whereas like Call of Duty, eventually they start feeling the same, even though they just change the paint on it or whatnot. So I'm kind of in your boat as well, but I also kind of wonder, like, why doesn't Microsoft just come out and go, okay, we'll do that? I guess I get why they're not, because they don't want to show their hand immediately. But I also, like, do you kind of understand their statement a little bit? Like, it does feel like they just took everything Jim Ryan said and go, well, we definitely can't damage PlayStation's #1 spot in the market. Like, oh my God, the end of the world would happen if PlayStation can't be #1. That's what it sounds like to me. That's not their job. Their job is to create competition for everybody. And wouldn't it be even a bigger deal if Sony has to now make a decision about what they're going to do because, oh, we might lose Call of Duty at some point. We can't rely on that. We have to really make sure these live service games that we're making hit, because we have to have something to counteract Call of Duty on Microsoft's end. But, I do think it's interesting that you don't have all these other publishers coming out and just being like, no, I don't want this to happen. No, I don't want this to happen. You're not having anybody really say that aside from Sony. So I feel like if it was really damaging to the industry, you'd have more people come out against it.
And I'll say this, to be fair to Sony, they kind of have to say this just to get whatever legal promises that they can. I mean, I don't hold Sony at fault for saying this stuff, but I really don't think in the end it's gonna matter beyond maybe getting a legal assurance that it will still come out throughout the PS5's life for the PS5 or something like that.
Yeah, very, very much true. That's exactly what he's angling for, right? That's what Jim Ryan's been saying the whole time. Like, this whole 3-year thing is not adequate for me. We need to have more. But that whole thing of like, oh, we're gonna make it run worse or something like that. I don't buy that at all. That doesn't help them, because then again, people are not going to want to spend the $70 to buy Call of Duty. It is interesting that like they brought up the whole, well, we're more worried about what this happens in the cloud space because Microsoft's #1 right now. Like what this does for Game Pass. Like this will definitely make Game Pass the #1 the #1 service. Like nobody will be able to compete with that.
Yeah, they could compete with it. It's just it makes some very baffling decisions on their part about trying to put stuff on their version of it. Now, I think again, this is just Sony trying to get as much as they can in legal assurances to try to. I don't think they even really want to stop the merger. I think they just want to get whatever legal assurances they can before it is official.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if you're Sony, you don't want to stop it, because I don't think Microsoft's going to like look at that as oh, you're going to stop us from doing this? Oh, we're going to keep being nice.
Yeah.
I think we're going to start we're going to start seeing very bad practices happening if this gets blocked for some reason. I don't think we want to go back to the whole. I really don't want to go back to that, where it's like, let's blast about how this game's exclusive and that game and this game and that game and this game, and it's like, oh my God, really? Like, I get this is kind of Sony's practice and everything, but I'd rather it kind of just be from Sony's side and not everybody's screaming to the high heavens about how this game and that game's exclusive to their console, like it was in the Xbox One PS3 generation. It felt like. So the less we can 360, 360, yeah, that's right, 360. But yeah, it's just let's live in a world where that doesn't happen. I don't really know, but I do think also Microsoft can very easily take them to court if they wanted to. Facebook just won something against the CMA as well that they tried to block. So I think that would be very detrimental to the CMA and their standing if we got to the point where Microsoft took them to court over this thing and they lose. So we'll see. Again, this is going to keep being a thing. Hopefully not weekly, because I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm kind of over it as well. You're exhausting the talking points on this. So yes, let's move on from that stuff. Hopefully for a while here. But hey, some actual maybe good news happening, and pretty much like a day after this, Konami is gonna have direct or their own version of a state of play or whatever just for Silent Hill, Mark. I mean,
I can't wait for the all new pachinko machine.
Oh, come on. There's no way they're doing this event for a pachinko machine.
You're right. It's going to be 3 pachinko machines.
I won't doubt that there is a pachinko machine involved, perhaps. But there's got to be something like game related, right? Like
Silent Hill game as service, mobile.
Yeah,
game.
multiplayer focused. Yeah, 4-on-1. One player gets to be Pyramid Head, and you get to hunt down the Silent Hill survivors.
Good luck seeing through the fog.
Man, I hope it's the Silent Hill game that people have been waiting on.
The dating sim?
No, not the. How interesting would that be, right?
That's the one I'm waiting on.
I mean, think about that. You just date all the different monsters. Silent Hill.
It's like Fire Emblem.
So, that being said, I think if this starts a good run for Konami where they're actually going to announce games and that they're returning back to game development, I'm all for that. They definitely have franchises, especially like, Castlevania that Mark loves, that if we could get more more games in those franchises, and Silent Hill, a lot of people have been waiting on. I know Randy's excited. Also, there's a Resident Evil showcase the day after as well. So that's helpful in this whole revamping of horror game franchises that is happening. I
wouldn't be surprised if what we find out is there will be a new Silent Hill game, but it's going to be somebody licensing the name and somebody else developing it.
Yeah, it's
paying Konami to use it.
Right.
Yeah. There's that Bloober Team big rumor that they're making a Silent Hill 2 remake. I guess that could be, a thing as well. Like what do you think? What do you think we will see? Like, do you think it's going to be a new Silent Hill? Do you think it's just a remake of an older Silent Hill?
Remake.
Remake and announce somebody's working on a new game, but we don't have anything to show you at this time.
Yeah, I definitely think they do have to announce that there is a new game being made by someone.
So I'll go ahead and make my prediction. The show will start out by showing scenes from the Silent Hill 2 remake. You'll get a quick blurb on somebody's making a new Silent Hill, but we don't have anything we can show you right now. And then you get 3 new pachinko machines. And they spend 90% of the direct on the pachinko machines.
You forgot the last part where they announced Silent Hill 3, the movie.
I thought about saying they were going to do a new movie, but I think they're going to just let that rest for now.
It wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility here with everybody decide that they want to do some kind of show or movie at this point.
Now, I could see a Silent Hill show being developed sooner than a movie, and I think it would fit. It would work a little bit better because you'd be able to tell a longer story in a show, break it up more. But
Somehow Lance Reddick gets cast in that as well. He goes from Resident Evil show to the Silent Hill show.
Yeah, as long as we don't let any of the people involved with like the actual creation of the Resident Evil show be involved in this one, I think we're good. The actors and actresses maybe, but not the actual like writers and all that, because you don't want to repeat of that. But hey, I'm all for this happening.
I could see like
yeah.
an actual anthology or like a collection.
That would be cool. I mean, that goes down with what Konami's been doing, right? Doing collections.
Right. Like here's all the games, and now they actually all work up to, the Wii one. Like here you go.
Come on, asking for a collection to have all games working is asking too much.
Yeah, well, especially Silent Hill, that Xbox 360 version wasn't great, and they never bothered to fix it.
They would have to decide they want to just do a lot more than just port them over. They have to like remastering them and all that, which depends on how serious Konami is.
Yeah.
On that. I mean, there were rumors that Sony might do a showcase, but apparently due to what's going on with the CMA thing, they don't want anything that might perhaps give Microsoft some kind of, hey, they just made that exclusive too. So, well, it's a rumor. Sony didn't outright say, hey, we delayed our showcase or anything, but it was a big rumor going around that there was supposed to be one pretty soon here. It is around the time for that, because after God of War, we really don't know what's happening, right? With Sony, we kind of have some games that are there in development, but I guess Miles Morales hitting PC before the end of the year too, but it's not like we just have this deluge of games that we know are coming from Sony's end.
We'll get The Last of Us Part 2 remaster.
Oh God, please no. Please don't. We already have enough with the Horizon. Dan, do you have any thoughts about that? The Horizon remaster remake?
Other than I'm not surprised, no.
It's I just want to make sure you didn't have any like burning thoughts about that. But yeah, I mean, what's next? We're gonna do Uncharted, the collection remaster as well. We just had the Lost Legacy Collection come out on PC, so let's just remaster everything again.
Yep.
What else can we discuss here? I should have mentioned this when we were still talking about the CMA thing, but Overwatch 2 has had more than 25 million players playing Overwatch in its first 10 days. That's 10 million more than the folks that play the original game. I mean, it helps that it's free and you don't have to pay, but
and it's still busted on my computer.
Oh, you still having problems with the?
Yeah, it still like refuses to launch correctly at all.
Well, I think the high player count initially is because it is free. Let's see what it is 2 months from now.
Yeah.
6 months from now. See how many people stuck with it and how many people just downloaded it, played it, and said, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, how many people bought the Battle Pass and kept going? I mean, has a greater possibility now that you didn't buy the game, right? So if you want to support the developers,
I would actually like if they actually offered a choice between buying Overwatch 2 or the season, like the free to play one, I'd probably buy it because I don't really like the season pass model that much.
Yeah, I'm always been in favor of that. Don't have this Battle Pass thing, but it's the way of the world now. So you want to play a multiplayer game, just get ready because there'll be a Battle Pass associated with it. Modern Warfare 2, going back to that, apparently that phone requirement thing's only going to be for PC players. So that's good, at least. If you're playing on console, you don't have to deal with that.
Well, yeah, because they can more easily ban you from a console, or just ban your account.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, do you feel better about this now, Mark? That you don't have
I
to
mean,
worry
kind of,
about.
because I'm not gonna play it on the PC, so I was like, all right, well,
Right.
it doesn't affect me that much. I still think it's kind of lame, like especially if you like have a history of playing those games cleanly before. But I mean, I get it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of understand it. I don't know why they had to go to the whole point of making it like, oh, well, you can't even use a prepaid phone. Because not everybody can afford to have T-Mobile or Verizon or whatever. I mean, there's people that just have these prepaid phones because it's cheaper for them. So you shouldn't exclude them from being able to play a big game like this. But at least it's a lesser amount of people that have to deal with this, but it still sucks for the PC players. I wonder if there's people that were gonna buy it on PC that just said, "Nah, I'm not now." Which, maybe that's a big minority. It's a minority at the end of the day, but it still affects the people that could have bought that game. So that sucks.
Yeah.
In a not necessarily that surprising, considering how things have been going for Ubisoft at times, you have great news. Like apparently, Mario & Rabbids 2: Sparks of Hope is getting awesome reviews. And then you get stuff like the Splinter Cell remake director is already gone.
It completed its task. What more do you want?
David Gravel, the director of that Splinter Cell remake, has left Ubisoft there 11 years. I mean, to be fair, that's a long time. He did work on Ghost Recon Future Soldiers. He worked on Splinter Cell Blacklist, Assassin's Creed Unity, Far Cry 5, 4, 5, and 6. So, I mean, what do you think?
That game is cursed.
Yeah. I keep on wanting it for so long, and then that's what you get.
I feel like if they tried to make a new Splinter Cell now, it's just going to feel like Assassin's Creed, where stealth is important again and less parkour.
Yeah, I mean, well, they made a big deal about it. Almost a year ago now, like that. This was happening, and what people wanted is.
Yeah, they also announced that Splinter Cell VR thing, though, and look how well that turned out.
Yeah, that's another thing entirely. I feel like with the Splinter Cell VR. So, I mean, it kind of sucks to see that. But I mean, if there's any series that people have just been like clamoring for, it feels like from Ubisoft, like you keep making Tom Clancy stuff, but it's not Splinter Cell. And then
it's all garbage you don't care about, like that Battle Royale that got canned like 2 years in.
I mean, I feel like the problem with doing a new Splinter Cell is that stealth games just don't have. They're just not the big thing now that they used to be. I mean, it used to be every Burger King had a stealth game back when they were really big. But
no, I mean, you're wrong. Burger King had the best stealth game.
the stealth king,
Sneak King.
Sneak King. That's right.
But I mean, like Assassin's Creed started moving away from making stealth a requirement in a lot of missions and everything. It's just
right.
I feel like people just don't. The majority of people, let me just say that because I know there are some people that love stealth games. The majority of people just don't want stealth games. I mean, how many times did we hear? We used to hear people beg for a new Thief game over and over. I want a new Thief game. I want a new Thief game. I want to sneak around. It was realistic.
But they made a Thief game and it wasn't good. So
right, yeah.
Like,
I mean, people love the Dishonored games.
Yeah, and I like Dishonored, but I got frustrated with I mean, some of the stealth missions, if you do not play a game constantly every day, you lose
Yeah, you
the
get
edge
rusty.
on some of those. Yeah,
Mhm.
and it makes it hard to advance in the game. It's the same reason why I don't play some of these like Elder Scrolls and games like that because I don't have the time to play it on a regular basis, day in, day out, and maintain the high level of ability to
Right.
not die constantly. I think that's the reason that a lot of stealth games just aren't getting made now. There's not as big of a market, and people just aren't. You have a large minority wanting
See,
them, but
I think your point is kind of valid, but I would like hold up Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 as a good example, like of a dormant genre, and then it came back and people were like excited, and it actually did sell well. Like there hasn't
Right.
been like a traditional stealth game for a while.
yeah, I mean that's
Yeah.
true. I mean,
I mean,
it's,
I bet if Konami said they were announcing a new Metal Gear Solid, people would
No,
be
they
super
would,
excited. Yeah.
because Kojima's not there. But I mean,
yeah, that's different.
If they did, people
if
would
they got
still
him
be
back,
excited.
then yes.
Yeah.
But that's the only way. Because look at Metal Gear Survive.
Okay, but that was totally different, though. That was just trying to shoehorn a multiplayer in there, and that didn't work. So,
Like I think they made like a big budget stealth game that could be like look at Hitman. Like that does really well.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not my type of game, but they've made 3 of them and they've kept going. So
Yeah. I mean, but Hitman is, yeah, that's the one that is like really carrying the baton right now. Is
which
it's always up for like game of the year when it comes out. I mean, people loved Hitman 3. The
real,
Goose Game, right? That also helped with that. So I feel like there's not this like it's not an overwhelming genre, right? But it's out there, and Splinter Cell could contribute to, if it's done well. I think a lot of people could be excited about like playing a stealth game again.
yeah.
You know, I would hope Splinter Cell does well if it ever does come out. But
I think it depends how it comes out or like what how it's built or like
yeah. I mean, I have nothing against it. I played the original. I loved it. I don't see that being. I see that being a hard game to make in today's market right now.
yeah, that's fair. And how do you make it different and not just we're bringing Black Splinter Cell and it's the same game but looks better?
replace the
How do you do
voice
something
actor.
new with it? Yeah, plus the voice actor. Yeah. Oh, speaking of old games, EA is following the same kind of trend that we've seen Ubisoft doing, where they're going to take down the online services for some games that people aren't really playing that much anymore. Army of Two, The 40th Day, Army of Two, The Devil's Cartel ceases in a few days. You get Mercenaries 2, Command & Conquer Rattler 3, Command & Conquer 3 Trivium Wars. You get Onrush, Mirror's Edge, NBA Jam on Fire Edition. NBA Jam is still really good. Gatling Gears and Shank 2, which is also a really good indie game. That ends next year, January 19th. The same day I think Stadia ends. But yeah, I don't know. These are big losses for anyone particularly.
The only one. I mean, these are the console versions, so it's kind of who cares. But
Yeah,
Red
and many
Alert,
of them are PS3, 360 also.
yeah, but like Red Alert 3, like that's a kind of a co-op game.
Right.
So that'd be kind of a bummer. But again, like the PC version still probably work fine. So
Yeah.
or NBA Jam, like it'd be nice if they brought that out again, or here's a modern version.
I would love for EA to like get to do that again, but those ones they brought out apparently didn't do well enough, and they're like, not gonna worry about it.
I don't think they were
It's,
really known.
No, definitely. I think a lot of people, unless you just love that series,
they should have been
probably.
airing. They should have been airing commercials for that thing during NBA games.
Yeah.
Having players play this is my character in NBA Jam, I'm on fire or something like that, and
Get a couple players and show them a commercial of them playing the game.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like they really could have factored in that and then said, "Hey, let's try to make this a big deal on the return," and then just nope. Let it just sit there, and it kind of sucks because both it and Blitz coming back would have been amazing.
Well, Blitz was always going to be handicapped, though.
Yeah, you're not going to get another Blitz with the concern about...
Even the arcade one-up Blitz machine is fucked up, so...
Yeah, I mean, that's because they had to, make it... It couldn't be what it once was because the NFL was now, paying attention to it and paying attention to the way it was perceived, and so, which kind of sucks, but... Yeah, I still have cool memories of Blitz League, even though.
Yeah, but that was that was an unlicensed game though. But that was still a cool game.
Yeah, I mean, it was the closest you were going to get to the old Blitz, and I love that bone crunching stuff that would happen.
Steroid shooting up, all the hallmarks of an NFL game.
Right. I'm sure Lawrence Taylor is probably like, "Oh, why did I get involved in that again?" But
money.
Yeah.
Well, definitely money. But I'm just saying, I think he kind of didn't like the way that it brought out the darker side of how he used to be when he was a player. So, yeah.
The check still cleared, so he's happy.
That's the point, I guess. At the end of the day, is there anything else you guys want to bring up here before we get to what we're playing? Or?
Nope, not game related.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. So you talked about, is there anything else you want to say about Invictus or?
It's a lot of fun. It almost feels like it's two games in one that you're playing simultaneously once you get to space, because you have to worry about what's happening on Earth and what's happening out in space. But
what is it called again, just for people that
Terra Invicta. It's currently on early access on Steam, and it's a 4X game. It starts with aliens or the planet of Earth discovers aliens actually exist, and you get 6 or 7 factions that each have their own approach to it, and you're competing with all the resources on Earth against the other factions to develop technology, to get to space, to colonize planets, and to stop the aliens if they're evil from accomplishing their mission. Once you get into space, you're dealing with space combat and everything else, but you're still also having to worry about what's going on Earth, even though you're in space. So it's almost like it's two games at once. What you're looking at now is basically what the Earth version is like, where you're trying to gain control of various planets, and then as you zoom out, you've got this section of space that you can deal with in the solar system, and you build your own vessels, you try to have battles in space with the aliens. It's very those battles are very physics driven. So I mean, it's a fun game, and it almost feels like it's multiple games or two games in one, because you've got what's going on Earth and then you have what's going on out in space. But it's fun. I'm enjoying it so far. I'm just starting to scratch the surface of the space combat, but I'm looking forward to it.
Is it actually detailed, the space combat, or is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. It's detailed, but I've seen what I've seen people talk about is basically because of the way the physics work, and you're better off in any type of space combat just having missile boats, because the missiles can fire and home in, whereas you might not be able to get this nice, neat battle set that you're seeing right now. Those are kind of hard to get everything lined up to where your weapons get a good shot at the enemy vessels. Missiles make it a little bit easier. Like I said, I've just gotten to the point where I'm just starting to scratch the surface of it, so I haven't had a lot of chances to play with it yet, but it is a fun game if you like 4X games. Go check it out. It doesn't have a real major development staff or publisher behind it, but it's definitely good and it's worth checking out.
Yeah, shout out to Hooded Horse for sending us a code for Daniel to review there.
Yeah, and also for 2 years ago in the last EA, sitting down and letting us talk with the developer and getting some information firsthand. I think the reviews of it are still up on the website if you want to go check it out.
Mark, anything?
Yeah, I played two things. I checked out the Warhammer 40,000 DarkTide beta that happened over the weekend. It sucked.
It sucked. Okay.
It didn't run well on my computer at all. It looked like ass. Even if it played well, like it's a Left 4 Dead, or like it's a co-op shooter, like four team member shooter. It's incredibly not clear about instructions or like where to go. Like, I only played one mission because that's about all I could stomach for the game, honestly. And it was like, you're going through this like forge because it got corrupted and you got to kill a bunch of, Chaos Marines or whatever. And like the first part of it was like, find the holy like forge, or like find something in this building. So it started with us like coming out of an elevator into this like map that's basically like a big H, like just one hallway and then two kind of smaller hallways. And me and the other team members spent a good 15 minutes looking for this goddamn thing. And enemies would occasionally come out and like attack us, but not really. And then finally, one of us figured out you had to go back in the elevator and like hit the action button. And it's like, why the fuck were we in this hallway then? Or why did it dump us in here if we had to use the elevator to progress the mission? Like, we didn't activate anything in the hallway. It was like, you have to find this item, but it's in the elevator.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? Who did this? Or like, what? Why did you do this?
Yeah.
And it has a whole bunch of like movement and stamina systems that aren't implemented well. Like sliding around, like no one is doing that at all in the game. Or like, oh, you can get behind cover, and I'm like, okay, or I could just not.
Also, you don't need to get behind cover.
No. We all did a run out of ammo at one point though, and it's like it's like, all right, well, we all got shovels, so I guess we'll just use this crap. But yeah, I played a round, and that was enough for me. So yeah. The other game I'm playing is something called Asterigos: Curse of the Stars. It's like if Dark Souls and Immortals: Phoenix Rising had a baby.
Mm-hmm.
Like the heroine looks just like from Immortals: Phoenix Rising, like plucky young Greek/Roman character, or like mythical character. It has a lot of Dark Souls combat, but it's not like stupid hard. Like I don't think I actually died once in the game. It's fun, or it's okay. It's not that challenging, but it's fine. The funny thing is, you only have 6 weapons. They're like weapon archetypes, like sword and shield, spear, magic staff. And the game kind of tells you, like, oh, you're supposed to, like, experiment with these. But it's like, well, I mean, I might, but the inventory for this stuff is, like, pretty bad. So I'm just going to stick with the daggers, because that seems to work pretty well against everything.
So, I mean, do you So you're saying the Dark Souls combat's not hard, which that's
Right.
good. That's
like it has a
and
stamina system for like rolling and dodging, but not for attacking. And it seems to actually, and you have like special attacks kind of. You can use 2 weapons at once, or 2 weapons, like you alternate between weapons.
it's a like open world or whatever, like Immortals.
Yeah,
Or...
kind of. Like it's kind of, it is more like Dark Souls, like the first one maybe. Like you have like a hub area, and then you can kind of go to like different spokes along it. Like now I'm in this like one town or like one area different from somewhere else.
Yeah, because I was hearing like another podcast talk about this, and it's interesting because they mentioned the Immortals Phoenix Rising, a game that I liked a lot, and then they said Dark Souls, and I was like, I don't know, and then hearing you say it's like not,
it's real easy. I mean, like the first boss, I was like, I expect to die in this guy a few times, and nope. I think I died once technically, but it was like I think it was like a scripted thing, or like I was meant to. But I still got the boss down like 3/4 health, and I'm like, all right. I mean,
all right. I mean, that's good that you're enjoying it. At least that's positive.
Yep, it's all right, at least so far.
Well, anything else you want to?
We're gonna talk about media stuff now, because that's the big thing I did over the weekend.
Let me, I guess, get through my
your game
thoughts on Scorn. I love
not enough penises.
Not that. Of course, Marc was referring to. If you see any kind of like trailer for it, they definitely show you that there's pretty much like a penis bump in the game or whatever. But no, I love the atmosphere of it. I love the art style. That HR Geiger art style is pretty amazing. Like, and it's like everywhere throughout this game, which is also incredibly impressive. That it feels like you are in that world, and every aspect of that. I just kind of thought that it was going to be much more about shooting and exploring than it is about the puzzles. And also the exploring is kind of like, it's almost adventure game-ish, as in you don't get anybody telling you where to go. You kind of have to just like figure it out. But then you get to the puzzle and it's like, now you really got to figure this out. And man, it took me a while on the first one to figure out what you're supposed to do. And I don't know, I wasn't expecting a game where I would have to just say, okay, if I want to beat this, I'm going to just get a guide and kind of go through it. Because I do really like I said, I like that atmosphere a lot. I like exploring in it. I like being in that world, but I don't know if it's one of those where I want to just sit there and stare at a guide to get through this, know where I'm going, and try to beat the game.
You want to hear the bummer thing about the reviews I've read?
Yeah.
It's like the puzzles are the better part of that game.
Oh, really?
Combat is the one that.
Oh, yeah. The combat apparently is not, because there's no reticle, right, to aim. You're just kind of shooting, and yeah, that's not great either. But that being said, yeah, I feel like it's perfect for Game Pass, right? Like, I think if I read all those reviews, or just from what I played, if I would have paid money for it, I kind of would have been disappointed. But being on Game Pass, it lets me be like, oh, you know what? I think I'm going to give it a few more shots and go for it. And, maybe if it's one of those where I'm not really got a lot to play, I can decide, okay, you know what? I'm just going to go through this game. And so, like I said, I think they did a great job of actually paying homage to Giger there, but I think there's parts of the game that definitely could use some improvement. All right. Yeah, I know you're eager to talk about this media stuff here.
Yep.
Marc, so go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so Sunday I went to the Motor City Comic Con, which I guess is like the big one in my state, and I'm putting in 2 links into the private chat for you. I got some like stuff signed, and I met some people. The 2 big ones were I met Christopher Sabat, who is like
that's awesome. Ah,
the voiceover guy, or like one of the big ones. He like
right.
voiced
Voice of
Vegeta.
Vegeta. Yeah.
I think he's like Might Guy in My Hero Academia.
Yes, he is. Uh-huh.
I think he's one of the big guys in Black Clover. Also, I think he's like not the main character, but like the second main character. So yeah, I got my Dragon Ball Super box set signed by him.
That's awesome.
That was cool. Yeah, you can see the video if you want to play that for a second.
Yeah, I was trying to put the link up there for a second.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, there he is with me.
That's cool.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. Or yeah, he talked to people, and he didn't mind being filmed, which is nice because the other people I met did. Like they
wanted to charge you, or they just didn't?
Well, they had like photo ops, so you had to like, which were like a mess also. But yeah, he was cool. But the more important one for us is the next video, because the other 3 people I met, and I couldn't meet the 4th one unfortunately because he was a huge slacker. But I met and I got this signed my Doctor Who box set by Alex Kingston, Karen Gillan, and Matt Smith.
Oh, that's awesome!
Nice.
And you check the video, and you can see like there's Arthur Darvill. He's the one that couldn't get signed, and it's just quick clips of the people because I was trying to like stealthily get it, see it, or you can see him for a second. And like she's the worst. Karen's like the worst because I had like from like way back, so I zoomed in like crazy, and it looks terrible. But
yeah, I can see the long distance that you're having to.
Yeah, like she's like there. But yeah, that's all really nice. And I met them all,
cool.
Or except for Arthur, because I think he had like leave early. There was also very poorly managed, or like time wise, but
right.
Yeah, it was a very cool event.
I mean, there's your signature there from Mr. Sabat.
Yep.
And
on the left is Matt Smith, on the right is Karen, and on the bottom is Alex.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
well,
they had some other people there, like Alice Cooper, one other Dragon Ball actor. And they had Booker T there, which I thought was funny.
Booker T, yeah.
I told my friend he's a much bigger wrestling fan than I am, but he didn't want to spend any money. But I said to him he should have got Booker T to autograph something and have him sign up price check on Jackass.
That Matt Smith is super popular now with
he was the most expensive. He was like $120 for like the premium autograph. Yeah. And he had like 6 different groups of autographs to
I bet.
And it was kind of a madhouse.
Yeah, the him being in House of Dragon has probably made him super popular at this point.
Yeah, I'm sure next year it'll be like double because
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it was pretty cool all around.
That's awesome that you got to go, and we got some video and pictures there.
Yeah.
I don't know what y'all want to talk about media wise.
She-Hulk was terrible.
I disagree there with you that it was
but you're wrong, so it's fine.
I know.
I think it had some good individual moments, but as an overarching story,
yeah,
I think it failed very badly.
Yeah.
I mean,
go on.
Well, just from the writers saying, so from the beginning, they build this as a Marvel legal sitcom, and the writers had no problem and constantly talked about how they had no idea about the courtroom scenes, how to write them. They didn't bring in any lawyers to consult or anything else. They just wrote it
Winged it.
and
We watched Law and Order. We know how to do this.
yeah, and I mean, just the story was bad. It honestly felt like we're going to throw a bunch of random moments up against the wall and hope that that's enough to get people interested in the show and get them watching it. The story just was not good overall.
Yeah, that's my problem. And like the whole Kevin thing, it's like, okay, that's I guess like a somewhat funny gag, but as like the conclusion of the show or the season, like it's no conclusion.
No, not at all.
Like a problem in the show is like Titania, Jamila Jamil. She's like doesn't have a character. You don't even know her name, or like no backstory at all, except for like she punches through walls occasionally. That's it.
Well, yeah, and I think it was supposed to be she's obsessed with She-Hulk, but
didn't come across at all.
She got leveled in one punch in the first fight, right? In the courtroom.
Yeah.
And then in the second fight, she falls on her face, breaks her own teeth, and runs away.
Right. So it's like, how much of a threat is she?
Yeah.
And like the whole intelligentsia thing, it felt like very half-baked.
Yeah.
So I don't mind. Like, I think the actors are fine for the most part, even though like half of them weren't there for most of the show. But I think as a show, like I would say it's the worst Marvel show.
Yeah.
Damn.
And it's a bummer because I really like Marc Baker. He was pretty good as her dad.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it had some good moments, but it just felt like there was no overall story.
Yeah, there's no cohesion or no overall plot. And them going like, I saw an interview with like the creator, and them going like, "Oh, we anticipated the trolls like hating the show," and it's like, why didn't you just make a good show in the first place? Or
I think as a character, I thought She-Hulk was. But that's the thing. It's like it is much more about She-Hulk than it is about anybody else. Yes, you don't get any kind of development between anybody but She-Hulk, basically. I get that, but I thought they did. I thought she does She-Hulk really well. Both parts of it, whether it's Jen Walters or She-Hulk, I think they do a great job of really telling you about some of the issues that women face in just, these kind of settings. It's a comedy also. Like, let's not forget about that.
But if it's a comedy, why isn't it funny?
You guys didn't think it was funny. I laughed at quite many parts of watching these episodes. Like, I watched it with other people that are not these huge Marvel fans, and they laughed as well.
Well, who is the show designed for? Or who is it? Like the show should have been written for its target audience, not for the writers themselves.
Well, and if you laugh once a show, does that really make it a comedy?
Yeah, I would say I maybe got like one laugh a show.
Yeah,
but it's like that's not great, or that's not a good batting average for a show that's billed as a sitcom.
A comedy sitcom. I mean, that's the thing. If they had billed it more as I think the problem is they tried to address a bunch of issues. Again, throwing stuff up against the wall. They try to address a bunch of issues, and they veer from trying to be serious about it to comedy. And it just made nothing seem important. It seemed like there were no stakes to hardly anything because, they try to build something as important and then they make a joke about it and then they drop the issue.
They had the whole like blood thing. It's like, oh, this was the main plot point for 3 episodes, and then it's thrown away at the end.
Yeah.
Like the show should have been either like an actual serious show, like Scarlet or WandaVision or Captain the Falcon and Winter Soldier, or it should have just been super campy.
Yeah.
But it played this middle line that didn't please anyone.
I wouldn't say it didn't please anyone. I liked it. There's funny people that did like it. I don't think it's like this absolute terrible show. There have been worse shows than
mean,
this.
what?
Like,
Which of the worst Disney shows has there been?
are we the Marvel shows?
Not Marvel, Disney. Because you could say,
I don't watch a lot
of
of Disney shows, so I
no,
can't
I meant
tell
like
you.
Disney plus Marvel, like
Yeah.
WandaVision, Loki, Miss Marvel, like
I think
yes, you
they're
can
all
say,
kind of in this. I mean, I think Loki's up there as one of the best ones.
you
Like,
can say like, oh, the Inhuman show on ABC was a terrible show, or
well, but that's I don't
Hellstrom
count
on
that because I'm
Hulu.
talking about since Disney Plus has been around.
Yeah,
I just kind of think that they're all in the same sort of smorgasbord, other than Loki really stands out as a great show. WandaVision had its parts where it lacked as well. Like, it's not like it was perfect.
yes, but I think WandaVision was able to, like, they had a plan, like going
Oh, no, they
forward.
definitely did have a plan. No.
You can say like parts of WandaVision did drag, and it's like yes, but also like the aesthetic of the show is interesting, or like there's a central mystery
is, like,
that they addressed at the end.
The thing is with She-Hulk, it's like it's really a progression of her. That's all. The problem is that it's all about her. That's it. That's the only issue. That's the main issue, and I totally get you guys with that. I've never said that there was this great character writing for everybody else on the show. No, there wasn't. Like, literally, it's if you don't like Tatiana Maslany as She-Hulk in this show, you're not gonna even care about the show at all because that's it. There's no reason to watch the show outside of her. And then bringing in cameo. Yeah.
I don't think she did bad. I think there just was not a good story for her to do. I mean, you talk about it was her progression. She really regressed during the show. She starts out as being able to control everything, being on top of everything, and then she just regresses and more and more stuff goes wrong. But that's the point,
though, that she has she has times where she does lose control.
But then,
like, it's
these moments that are supposed to be impactful and serious are thrown away with random jokes about it, and there's no consequences to it. It's just like, well, oh, look, it's hard for her to be She-Hulk and date. Or it's hard for her to date, period, because she feels like she's got these two personalities.
Right.
And the whole thing is thrown away with a random joke about how bad all the people that she met online dating is.
Yeah.
It feels like the progression that I see where they wanted, I see what they were going for, but I feel like it didn't stick the landing, and it just, all the stakes were wiped away.
It peaked at the end. It peaks at the end with Daredevil showing up, and then I liked that last episode a lot. You guys didn't. That's fine. But I think it feels like it's setting up. See, like, that's the thing, is like the other ones feel like they were setting up much bigger things, right? Whereas this just feels like we're setting up this one character for something that we have no idea when we're going to get something else for this down the line. Whereas, like, all these other shows outside of Moon Knight, which we don't know when Moon Knight's going to really show up again, WandaVision was directly setting up Doctor Strange 2, Miss Marvel, which I liked a lot, that also had a lot of people that didn't like it, apparently.
That had, I mean, I haven't watched it, but that actually had like good ratings or good reviews,
right?
Like across the board.
Yeah, I watched parts of Miss Marvel. I still have to go back and watch it. My thing was, it was definitely made for the target audience were younger than me.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
And I could see where that would appeal to them. I could see where some stuff was good, some stuff wasn't.
It definitely felt like something you could watch on the Disney Channel.
Yeah, I mean, I watched 3 episodes, and I'm not saying it was bad. It just wasn't my target show. But I still think that was better than She-Hulk. Or at least the first 3 episodes I saw. Now, I feel like, and again, talking about the last episode, I feel like there were good scenes in the last episode. There were things I liked about it. I liked seeing in it. There were other things but overall, I just felt like as a whole, the individual parts did not work in a satisfying resolution.
The only moment I laughed in the last episode was when Titania says like "Hi, Daredevil," and he showed up, and that was kind of like just because of her delivery. But
Yeah.
it's like
Right.
that's not a joke, really. It's just.
Yeah.
I mean, I chuckled a little bit at the family scene with Daredevil there. Or
I
Matt
laughed at that
Murdock.
also,
Yeah.
but just because of the terrible CGI for the Hulk son. Or
Well,
Yeah, that was.
oh,
just
I wasn't
bad.
even going to talk about that. I was just going to go with just the interaction with like the family members and Matt Murdock there. That was humorous.
yeah,
But and then, oh hey, we're going to introduce this one character in 5 seconds, and that's
Yeah,
it.
that was just kind of like, really? Why? Just so we can kind of have the, I guess, continuation to whenever we're going to do, what is it, World War Hulk?
Like
Yeah.
maybe that's what this
Yeah.
was meant to set up.
Yeah. I guess, yeah. And whenever, I guess that's coming next year at some point. Or
Well, and see,
two,
like I wouldn't
yeah.
mind seeing She-Hulk show up in the Daredevil show.
right.
Oh,
I
well,
mean,
definitely. I'm
I don't
sure
have a
that probably
problem with
means.
the. I mean, I didn't have a problem with the character. I just think the show as a whole did not work. There are individual parts I can point to that work, but just as a whole, I feel like it was not very satisfying. I don't feel like it was very good. It almost felt like a bunch of SNL skits thrown together, and they said, "Okay, this is the show."
Yeah, it does feel set up to where like, oh well, we can kind of just bring in whoever to cameo in this. I do agree with you that, and I think Mark brought it up. They talked about apparently there's not like a lot of people that, because the amount of Law and Order law type shows that are non-existent, there's not a lot of people that know how to write courtroom scenes anymore. So that was sort of a yeah.
Believe me, they're writing the show in LA. They could hire an entertainment. They could hire a lawyer.
Yeah.
To look at it, give it a quick like. They were only in a courtroom twice in the show.
Yeah, like 3 times. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
3 times. I mean, it just felt like, again, it was supposed to be a sitcom legal drama comedy.
Yeah, there's not a lot of legal stuff in it.
Well, so
for
like,
sure.
let's, when I hear that, I think of the one that comes to mind is Ally McBeal.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what they always
Yeah.
said. Is they compared it to that, or like we're making our superhero version of Ally McBeal, and it's like, yes, but Ally McBeal had side characters that you knew the names of and that were in every episode.
Well,
Yeah.
I just feel like I see what they were going for. I just don't think they succeeded overall.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I
But-
mean, yeah.
I was going to say Star Trek Prodigy is coming back soon, so I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
And that Star Trek Picard trailer looks hilarious.
Yeah, I'm hopeful for it, but I was hopeful for season 2 of Picard, and that kind of.
No, I know it's going to be an unmitigated disaster.
Yeah, I'm scared that it is, but I have to hope that the person that's doing this season did not do 1 and 2. So,
No, he did too.
oh, he did. Well,
Yeah.
then crap. Oh well.
Yep.
So that means the first episode will be really good and give you a lot of hope for the rest, and then they'll just be shattered as it goes on.
Yeah.
Okay, well, hey, at least Lower Decks has had a few good episodes.
I'll go okay.
Uh,
And I had a DS9 episode. That's about it.
Returning to Deep Space Nine was fun.
Yeah. I have not watched.
Yeah, you're not a
the
Star Trek
last-
guy, so
Yeah, I know. I can't comment on that. I haven't watched the last 2 episodes of House of Dragon to comment on, but apparently those have been the 2 crazy ones, so I'll have to definitely get to that. But from what I have seen, they have really knocked it out of the park with this show. They have completely, like, all the people that I feel like were very hesitant about Game of Thrones having anything when it first started. I think everybody is all in again. and that's a testament to everybody that, you know, it's a testament to everybody that was involved in this. And like, I wasn't too sure because I was not a big fan of the way the Game of Thrones ended, and as many people were.
Was anyone?
There were some people that were clamoring that you just don't understand and all this stuff. And it's like, listen, it's very obvious those people were tired of this show. It's supposed to last 2 more years, and they didn't want to do it anymore because they thought they were going to do Star Wars, and then Disney was like, screw that.
Well, I think a lot of the actors were trying to get out or done with the show as well. So they kind of had to end it, or you would have had a completely different looking.
That's what's happening on this one now, isn't it?
Well, no, they're just time jumping so they can set it because there's supposed to be at least like 4 seasons of this, so they got to time jump faster.
Yeah,
to kind of get to where you're getting the main actors that are going to be around for most of the show. But yeah, it gives me a lot of faith in whenever they do the Jon Snow show and everything that they're going to do that right as well. So I'm excited. I'm excited for this finale that's going to happen next week, and we'll see how they're going to end it. So far, at least for that season 1.
Real quick, just to go back to Marvel, Werewolf by Midnight was awesome.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I've heard nothing but good things.
Yeah, I've heard good things as well.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I want to say it's only like an hour long. It's not even a full-length movie, but it's good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good. It's entertaining. I enjoyed it. It's supposed to take place in the cinematic universe. I didn't really see a ton that connects it, but that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it was good. I enjoyed it. Good Halloween horror episode.
That's cool.
There's some Marvel rumor that they're trying to get Robert Downey Jr. back for the other 2 Avengers movies.
I mean, doesn't one of them, like, in the comics it involves the old Avengers, so they kind of have to, right? I mean,
well, it's involving Kang. He's a big time traveler, so you know.
But isn't there a part where like the old Avengers like show up against the new ones?
Maybe.
Well, there was Secret Avengers where you had doppelgangers of
evil versions. Yeah,
they were really Skrulls, but nobody knew who they were. I mean, you could have them show up for that. Honestly, I'd be happy if you just have him show up as an AI.
Right.
Yeah, it would be cool just to see him again.
And it fits the character.
Have you been... I still need... Like, now that She-Hulk's done and now that House of Dragon's going to be done, I'm probably going to actually sit down and try to watch Andor.
Yeah, that's my take. I wanted to wait till... I just wanted to watch through all the episodes, and I'll probably go through it.
From what I've seen, it apparently gets better as it keeps going, so that's good. Because, that first episode has not made me like want to go back to it again. But every time a new episode comes out, I keep hearing better things about it, so that's a positive.
Archer just ended its 13th season. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, that's good.
They'll have more.
Yeah, I think they are going to have at least 15 seasons right now. Everybody's under contract.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, this was like 8 episodes in the season, so it wasn't a ton, but it was still fun to see the characters and watch Archer figure out how to deal with the loss of his mother.
That's always a show that I've like somebody, I've always said I'm going to watch. I think I watched like the first season at one point and then I never went back to it again. So, but yeah, I mean, did y'all see about the whole Cartoon Network Studios apparently got shut down or they got merged with something else, right?
Yeah, WB, like, animations, like, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, it sounds like Cartoon Network's kind of done. But that's a good example of why streaming doesn't work, because, like, people had those TV shows on Amazon Prime or Amazon Video that they bought and they got yanked from their account.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks that like it seems like that's mostly what WB is targeting, or not WB, Discovery is targeting, is like, let's go kill all the cartoon shows. It's like, damn, really? Like, I guess more people should have been watching them, because that's all that they seem to be shuttering, is the cartoon shows, and I guess some of the HBO Max original stuff that wasn't doing well. But this
I
merger doesn't seem to have panned out very well for.
I don't have a lot of high hopes for that Clone High reboot they were talking about.
Well, from what I've seen about the merger, AT&T basically dumped a bunch of debt onto Warner Brothers before Discovery, the merger happened. So when the merger happened, Warner Brothers itself was under a ton of debt. And so they had to start cutting costs and saving where they could. Otherwise, they couldn't even afford to run the studio. So I kind of put this more on AT&T than I do Discovery at this point.
AT&T are the blame for a lot of things here. Not to mention having crappy cellular service. But that's neither here nor there. All right, so I think that's it for this week, everyone. You're seeing this, you can go play the Plague Tale Rec Room, which that seems to be getting mixed reviews, unfortunately.
Yeah, one review is pretty nasty about it.
Yeah, that sucks. I was hoping it was going to be one of those glowing games that I will be excited to play on Game Pass, but hey, it is on Game Pass, so you can go play it on there, as well as the other systems as well. Definitely give it a shot if you can. It's even on Switch Cloud if you're a Switch Cloud person. That Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed also out.
The game that Greg Miller wants, no one else.
Yeah. I am going to try that Marvel Snap game, so I'll have thoughts about that next week for sure. Them's Fighting Herds is out there. If you've been wanting to play that for a while, you certainly can. And Uncharted Lost Legacy is out pretty much by the time you're listening to this or watching it. Batora Lost Haven is an indie game I've been sort of interested in. It's an action RPG that kind of reminds me of Prince of Persia a bit, with like more of the action stuff. So been kind of waiting for that one as well. I think Vampire Survivors is leaving early access as well. So that's also on Game Pass, I think. And yeah, another Warhammer 40,000 game is coming out too. So
we got like 4 a year. So
yeah, why not? And then of course the game that we all should be supporting, Persona 5 Royal, which of course
already have.
Yeah, Marc has already been doing that, but now you can go play it on Game Pass and Switch and PC as well. Definitely go do that. I don't know if I'm gonna go back to that or not, but it'll be there, tempting me, I'm sure. And Gotham Knights as well. It comes out the same day. So if you're not disturbed by the running at 30 FPS and you want to play a co-op game, there you go. Go check it out. Right? But yeah, until next week, everybody. We will see y'all later.
Later in Dixieland Delight was actually about Tennessee.
I
had to throw one thing in there.